Hey, it's the Bachelor Pad. We're back. I'm gonna do a little bit of a retake from what was. We had multiple people in the studio last week, and we did the midget and hot tub story, which generally gets a chuckle right off the get when you talk about midget and hot tub. One thing here about the Bachelor Pad, and I had to advise my friend who was sitting in the studio that it is a no holds barred, right? It is truth, and nothing but the truth. So we get good, bad, or indifferent. This isn't a great story of mine. The story is actually pretty funny because who else does this or who has the ability to do this? Just circumstantial. When has it ever happened? So the midget story. We're in Denton, Texas, right off University of North Texas campus. I'm living with Reverend Blazer. He's generally on the show. We go out to the bar, and we're at a local little hole in the wall bar that we normally stop at on the way. It's only a mile or two away from the house. We go in, and it's funny when you live your life, kind of like I do. It seems like it's done for story's sake or the fact that I just have absolutely no shame, right? I have no shame in my game. If I do something and it's good, I'll talk about it. If I do something and it's bad, if it'll make somebody laugh or get a chuckle, I kind of put it out there. So the midget in the hot tub. We're at the bar and we're having social drinks, and there seems to be a bunch of people from where Blazer's working, a few people from the house. We had 3 or 4 roommates, so there was a nice gathering of people at the bar. Throughout the course of the evening, I'm meeting a bunch of people that I've met for the first time. In my life, it seems number one, I'm not shy about it most of the time. I don't like to lead with, "Hi, I've never met you before. What's your name? Hey, tell them about the Hagen story, or tell them about my father does it to me." Most of my friends do it to me because I'm kind of strange in that way. You give me a couple sodas, I'll tell them myself. So they make me tell a couple stories. It was either the Hagen story, a few others that are very sexually driven by nature. So I tell a couple stories, ha ha ha. Then it becomes, I walk away, I come back, I get waved over. "Hey, come here, tell them this," or retell the story to a different group of people. Now, in general first meetings and you don't know people, you have a high probability of turning females off when you're telling other sexual stories, right? Like, oh, I think something subconscious goes off. If he says this about this situation, if I happen to mess around with him, he's going to tell, this, if we do anything, he's going to tell that story also. So this all goes out at the bar. We go back to the house. So we have a hot tub, and, in Bachelor Pad fashion, I think any single guy that still goes to the bar or has groupings of people around should have a hot tub. Hot tubs work in mysterious ways. They're a lot like the magic man in the clouds or God. It works in mysterious ways. I learned this from conversations overhearing. I'm really big on observation or observational science. So I look at everything from a sociological standpoint. And when you're asking a girl randomly at a bar, like, "Hey, well, what are you doing? Do you want to go back to the house afterwards?" I don't know. Let me check with my friends. "Hey, what are you guys doing? Do you want to go back to their house?" If there's no extra, if there's not an asterisk, there's a hot tub or whatever. Hot tubs seem to work great, and I realized that I overheard somebody else do it and use it extremely efficiently, and he was very aloof in his, I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna have a couple more end of the night drinks and sit in the hot tub. Just gonna go sit in the hot tub. Should be cool. It's kind of how I end my day. The girl immediately stopped, and instead of "let me go ask my friends," kind of walked quickly over to her friends and said, "Hey, what are you doing? This guy, him and a couple of his buddies are going back. Do you want to go back and get into a hot tub?" Hot tub seems really, really fun when people are intoxicated. So I do say, if you have the ways or the means, get a hot tub, or at least get an apartment that has a hot tub for your usage. So we go back to the hot tub. We get in the hot tub. There's 3 or 4 of us. It seems to be like a couple dudes. It seemed to be all the dudes. All the other chicks kept their clothes on and were either playing beer pong or sitting at the patio furniture. So we wind up in a hot tub, 4 guys at all 4 corners, and this little midget lady person. It was interesting, right? I always make a joke that I'm never around that many Asians. I love the Asians. I think they're neat. I watch all the Asian porn clips. They seem like a pretty randy bunch, even though they seem shy about it. So I'm never around a bunch of Asians. And when in the hell is anyone ever around a midget or a little person or whatever the heck you wanna call it or describe it? So sitting there, she seems pretty about it, and she's pretty sassy, and she's been engaging in conversation. I had a very outgoing personality. So we're sitting in the hot tub, and we're all kind of talking and joking. Well, actually, nobody was toking, but a few of the people that were in the hot tub, I do believe they toke. We're sitting in the hot tub, and through conversation, we're just talking, and I'm talking to her, right? Because I'm intrigued. I need to find out as much information about, this type of female because I've never been around one. So I ask a lot of leading questions and find out as much about her as humanly possible. Well, in the process, she leans over in the water, and it's funny because obviously we're all normal, and she's sitting on the, well, not normal, but we're all of normal size. She's sitting on the little hump there, and even in the hump, the water level is like up to her chin almost. So you can't see her little arms or shoulders or anything that's going on underneath the water. So as we're sitting there, it's kind of weird because she reaches over and she puts her hand on my thigh. In normal conversation, I will say that it was pretty crafty the way that she did it, because it was hand on my thigh talking and then kind of gave me a look, like looked over, blah, blah, blah. So kind of let me know it wasn't an accident. At first I thought it was accidental. Maybe she needed something to prop herself up, like she was going to float away, or, I don't know if her feet could touch, right? We always make jokes about small people sitting on a telephone book when they're driving a car. So leans over and puts her hand on my thigh. And I think for a minute and I go, oh, that's pretty forward. That's pretty forward of you. And part of it I go, haha, she's deemed, or just because it's where she's sitting, but reaches over and puts her hand on my thigh. So I might be the choice of full-size guy she's trying to mess with. I don't know if that's a thing for little people, but generally little people seem to be in a group with tall, regular-sized people. So puts her hand on my thigh. So I'm debating, like, I don't want to be a jerk and not, like, I don't know if you've been in this situation, if somebody, in body language experts, if somebody touches your shoulder, that means I don't find you creepy or unattractive. So I wanted to reciprocate it. Didn't think it would go any further than that. So I reach under the water and I put my hand on her little stubby thigh also, right? And I touch her leg and I went, oh, there we go. Well, as soon as I did, her hand immediately went over to my package. So now I'm into this, right? The reciprocating touch now led to, she reaches over, and it was pretty interesting too, because I don't even think I was wearing actual like shorts. I was wearing boxers, right? Because it's our house. I can wear boxers in the hot tub if I want. Reaches over, hand goes inside the boxers and begins to give me the little 5-knuckle shuffle while we're sitting there. Now at first I look at everyone kind of puzzled, like I'm looking at everyone because I'm like, oh, do you guys see what's happening? You can't even see what's going on under the water because the water level is here and her little shoulders, nothing can be seen. So you can't even see she's semi-rowing a boat under the water. As she's doing this, I'm like, oh, and I'm not going to lie, I was a little bit freaked out because I'm way up in my head with everything. And I make, even in the one where we did this segment last week, I'm like Eddie Murphy in Boomerang, where you're like, oh, if you've got a weird pinky toe, it freaks you out. I can't, if your nails are too long or whatever, if you've got ugly feet. I'm not that bad, but this is a thing. And I'm not like 20 at the time this is happening. At 20, I could have did 3 more shots, went and done whatever, and it would have been an epic story. So I'm a little freaked out. I'm in my head. So I'm not achieving full, I've got a chub maybe, right? So it's not even like full on, like I'm really into this. I'm kind of freaking out, like I'm panicking. I'm number one thinking, oh my God, if I do this, everyone here knew that it was happening, right? People are looking around like, who's hanging out with them? It would have been a story. So the last thing I need is this pint-sized little broad wandering around, a city that I'm new to, right? I'm not even new to this city. So my first sexual encounter is going to be with a little person, and then have her, if I get too much up in my head and I'm like, I'm fully erect, then I'm down, then I'm, if there's cabin pressure issues or whatever, I can't wrap my head around it like, oh my God, I want to do this. So I'm freaked out. while this is happening, we need a beer, and somebody gets up and she decides, no, I'll go get you a beer. So she hops out of the water, and it's comical, just comical, and I know it's not comical to them, but it's just weird to see the little body and throw yourself over and scamper away. There's a certain way they walk and do whatever. So she gets out and walks away and goes into the house. So as we're sitting here, I think everyone is taking like hedging bets or talking about dude, we gotta bang the midget. Somebody needs to bang the midget. I'm keeping quiet because I'm a little freaked out, and I go, damn, if it's me, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do it adequately, or balls. Like, I don't know, I'm gonna have to do something. Well, Reverend Blazer is sitting next to me in the hot tub. So if there was corner 1 and corner 2, he's sitting at one corner, I'm sitting at the other, and the young lady was sitting in between us. And he puts his head down and sighs and goes, damn, I think I'm gonna have to have sex with the midget tonight. And I look and I went, why? Really? That's awesome. How is that? Well, obviously nobody knows that she was giving me a handy under the water. Well, he then informs me, or informs all of us in the hot tub, dude, she's been jerking me off for like the last 10 minutes in under the water. I have to hold from almost spitting my beer out. And all now I can think about is this crafty little broad was leaving no stone unturned. She's sitting there rowing the boat, right? So nobody is none the wiser. She's in the water up here. She's been jerking off both of us, right? Either she was going for the double team shenanigans, or just, hey, I'm going to try both of these guys and see which one's into it. Which leads me to believe that I'm not the only one that is kind of freaked out by the fact that, I could accidentally, like, if I do this, what if it doesn't turn out well? What if I get freaked out? I don't need this tiny little woman wandering around and talking shit like, Mr. Big Talker there, guy with all the stories, can't bang for shit, right? So I'm freaked out. I don't necessarily want that kind of information on my resume, right? If I do it, I want to make sure I do it well. So she goes out and comes back to the hot tub. So I feel awesome. I guess from what Reverend Blazer was telling me, I was selling him on the fact that, dude, you definitely, dude, think about the story. When have you ever had this opportunity? You need to do this, right? This is a thing. Like, you could do it, man. You should. Dude, why wouldn't you? So I'm talking him up and selling him on the fact. I think whether consciously or subconsciously, he's having the same, boy, we've drank a lot tonight, right? You don't want to, you don't get a second chance to make a first impression. So I sell him on the fact, as soon as she comes back and whatever, I'm getting myself out of the situation. Because number one, I don't need to be, secretly jerked off under the water anymore. It only got me like halfway there anyways. So I get up and run. I'm like, haha, I've had enough to drink. The hot water's beginning to hit me. I'm a little woozy. So I'm like, this is good. I'm just going to go to bed. I'll deal with all this stuff in the morning. So I go up and go to bed. All of a sudden, it was weird. We had multiple dogs in the house, so I would always put something by the door where my door wouldn't open, but only to a crack, so no dogs could fit through. All of a sudden, I hear my door like being pushed open, and it's the midget lady, followed by Blazer, and I'm like, oh, I didn't get out of this. I'm like, damn it. How could he have lost control of the situation, and now she's in my bedroom? She comes up and starts like rubbing my chest or reaches under the blanket and like grabs my cock and was like, do you have a condom? Now, this is a loaded question. Do I have a condom? If I have a condom, cool. I don't know. Is she just going to jump on me and ride me like a show pony? Is this going to happen? Like, balls. Because I'm not going to say no, but I don't even have over-the-counter dick pills to help me out in this situation that will guarantee that you're going to, have a great time, or at least put on a great performance. I've drank a lot. I'm a little freaked out. All of a sudden, I see Blazer, and I'm like, he didn't lose control of the situation. So he reaches over, and he grabs, or I reach in, and I'm like, yep, sure do. Here's a condom. Here you go, y'all. Have it. Go have fun. Are you sure you don't want to come down? No, I'm quite fine. She gives me a kiss on my cheek, and I'm like, no, that's kind of weird. You're about to go have sex with Blazer. I really don't need you kissing me on the cheek. So I tell them to have a great time. So I wake up and go to sleep. Everything's fine. So I have no idea what has happened in this scenario. Other than I get a call from Blazer first thing in the morning, and he first thing in the morning for me because I slept in. He actually had to work. I get a call and he's like, dude, I went to work. Come to find out, he worked with the little person. He just thought it was a friend of a friend. She worked at the place. He tells on himself because his manager asks him, hey, dude, what did you do this weekend, man? I heard you guys had a party or whatever. And he's like, immediately in a drunk hungover state was, dude, all right, so I had sex with the midget and whatever, and I did some weird stuff. Come to find out, nobody had told. He ended up telling on himself. So now the other people that were there, the story started going around daisy chain style. It didn't get too out of round. It was pretty much on, on point and on par. So he calls me to tell me that he told on himself, and everybody at work knows, and how to handle it and do damage control. Well, as he tells me, and mind you, I haven't heard the other things, which I'll get into in 1 second, but he tells me, oh, hey, man, I had sex with the midget and this, and this. And I went, oh, just so you know, she was jerking me off the same time. I didn't have the heart to tell you at that point. I didn't want to get roped into doing anything in this, in this realm, because I already knew there was a pretty good chance I was going to get freaked out, and one of the little arms or the little hands would freak me out, or something in the size, like I go to grab something and it's not there. I don't know, because the lower half was a little out of proportion, but she did have spectacular boobs. So I tell him this, and he starts laughing, like, what the hell are you talking about? So you sold me on I should do it. And I was like, dude, you're in your 20s. You're like 23 or 24 at the time. Yes, you should. If you can't put on a good performance at 24 after drinking that much, then that's your fault. So I tell him that we were getting ski poled, right? So now he has more fodder to add to the story. Well, he begins to tell me that one of our stories with Don't Be a Mo had the use of olive oil as a lubricant, and Mo said because she used olive oil as a rub down thing, that he went and put it in her bad place, and he thought, well, that's a universal sign, which I'm not aware of. I still have not been brought aware of this. I've looked all over online. I can't see where olive oil has the direct connection. They have actual products for that in the lubricant world. So he tells me that in the middle of doing whatever, he sneaks out, I'm going to go get us another drink. So as he's out there, and I've told these stories throughout the evening, he's like, you know what? Not only am I going to do this, but I'm going to take a couple of the integral parts of other stories that I told about my creepiness, and he's going to add them into the story. So he goes in with olive oil to smear and just, crack the top and dump it onto the little person. So he walks in the room, grabs the top, starts squirting her down with this. Now, she was a little creeped out by the story in general, so she's looking like, what? He grabs her, he's smearing her down with olive oil, having sex, rolls and flips her over. The great part of this was we left one person sitting in the hot tub. One of our friends was still in the hot tub, autofocus, was sitting in the hot tub, and the hot tub was touching the side of the house that the window and the blinds looked directly into Travis's room. So one of the people that he worked with was kind of getting ready to get out of the hot tub, or dozing on and off, falling asleep, was looking directly in and saw all of this take place, which I don't know, in guy realm or girl realm, do you get up and walk away? No, of course not. You look through the window and you watch. Because what's better than having sex with a midget, than having a great story, than being in the hot tub looking through the window at your creepy buddy having sex with a midget, and then using olive oil and doing a bunch of weird stuff. So he breaks out the olive oil. He also, while he was out there and grabbed the olive oil and thought this would be a good idea, he began to take, I was at a trade show and I came back with these over-the-counter male enhancement pills that I thought was a crock of, snake oil, it was a bunch of shit, right? It doesn't really work. Come to find out, it really does work. There are a bunch of herbal ingredients that will, screw the pharmaceutical companies. This stuff works, and it's natural and whatever. So he doesn't know which one works, and I brought him back. Nobody had a chance to test them. He took 3 of them. So he damn near overdoses on over-the-counter dick pills and goes in to have, he said it was the equivalent of having multiple rubber bands wrapped around your unit. So I think even him, in a younger version of me and a younger version of the situation, still went, oh my God, what if I get freaked out in the middle of this? I can't have this little pint. And he had even more dogs in the fight, because little did he know she worked with him. But she was friends with a girl that was moving in the house, and he had a weird friendship with her and a bunch of other girls. So this would have gone horribly wrong if he wouldn't have performed properly. So he goes in there, and yes, he sodomized the little person, right? Which I don't know. I don't know how the whole orifice situation works. I've never done it, and I've seen porn with, if I have a bad tendency of theme masturbation. So if I'm around, I see 3 or 4 smoking hot Asian girls or whatever, guess what I'm watching when I go home? Asian porn. If I'm around 3 or 4 beautiful black women or whatever, guess what I'm doing? That is my mind's eye. Like, it just clicks in and goes, save for later. You're going to be looking at that because holy crap, were they awesome. And now you need to, if you're going to work it out and, wrestle yourself a little bit tonight, you need to do it in that theory, in that realm. So, I don't know. I'm like, is there little parts because they seem condensed? I know they have children, but I would never think, like, I would have to like look at some medical documentation that it would be okay, and that's not really my thing. I don't really go back there. It's a special occasion thing for me. But he went right in there and made sticky in the bad place as using, olive oil as lubricant. He said it was impossible. He doesn't even know if he finished because he took 3 over-the-counter dick pills. He could have been erect for like 3 days or had a stroke. I don't know. So it was a whole thing. And the story has gotten around. We've told it in a million different ways. I feel kind of like a vagina that I didn't go through with it because I think it would be a great story. I think it would be interesting if I knew, like, just how does this fit versus that? Like, oh my God, like, the vagina's littler. Lord knows the little hands and whatever. It would be like, holding a wiffle ball bat. I think that would be neat. So those were a few of the finer points of the midget hot tub story. It did get a little bit creepy after that. And I don't know how many other people have ever had the opportunity, but that was our one. In my whole career of being single or being around, that's the only time I've been around a little person in that situation. She was a pretty bout at one. And come to find out, the boobs were epic. There were a lot of better finer points. And then after, it got weird and creepy because it seemed like a bender, like 3 or 4 nights in a row. People kept coming over to the house. And that's a bad thing when you have a party house because people will come over and then cool. And if you got somebody who's like, yeah, just come over. We don't even lock our doors. They start coming over and the parties seem to extend for like 3 or 4 days. Well, I'm an adult, so I have to get up and go to work and do things. Well, as I hear some noise and ruckus, I come down to look and see what's going on. As I do, I see Travis or Blazer playing beer pong with the midget in question, right? The midget lady's over and he's holding her and caressing her and he's doing weird stuff, and I'm like, he looks like he's in a relationship with her. Like, he's not a nice person. He's not affectionate or nice to most people he comes around. And I didn't wrong like buddies. Like, he could have his best friend, and he'd cuss you out and call you names instead of putting, how sometimes you get drunk. It's my boy. Fucking love you, man. You're my dude. No. Dude, fuck you. You're a piece of shit. Fucking whatever. Like, that's the way he is. So the fact that he's being, he's being affectionate and almost like suitable boyfriend, girlfriend realmy with this, it freaked me out. So I grabbed a couple of the roommates and went over just from a distance and went, hey, what is he doing? Like, I don't care if you want to be in a relationship, but there's a few rumors that he's possibly, like, he could have had, it's past tense, right? He could have had multiple children throughout his 20s. Let's just say he's been known to make a mistake or do something in the place where babies come from. I know it's been a thing, more scares than I think I've had in my life. And I'm like, dude, should we say something or stop it? Like, dude, he's going to have a midget baby. Like, and I know it's not necessarily the way it works. I know little people can have big babies and big people can have little babies. I don't even know the midget gene or how that really works out. But I would have to think that there'd be a higher potentiality of having sex with a midget and possibly having a midget baby, right? Or having to deal with this little person bitching at you, ruining her life because she shat out a fucking full-size baby, right? I don't know how it works. I don't claim to be an authority on this situation, but that's kind of some of the finer points that went on, and it went on for like 2 or 3 days. And in his defense, whoever's drinking with him at that point, you happen to be a female, he loves it. He loves drinking more than he loves anything else, right? He loves the alcohols. And ironically, it seems that he likes little people when he's having copious amounts of alcohol and they're around. So I've got Scuba Steve getting up and starting to walk around the studio. I have a giant German Shepherd, Belgian Malinois dog. So he's on his feet. I'm going to go ahead and conclude this with story time. That was just a little bit of clarification of the midget story.